Disappointed but not surprised. I think that will be the overarching theme for this video. On April 2nd, 2025, there was a Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2. During the Direct, there were many new announcements, such as an overview on the specs for the Switch 2. You know, it now runs at 1080p, the Joy-Cons can also be used in different ways, yada yada. There were also some new game announcements, such as Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, and even GameCube games, such as the long-awaited Wind Waker port, coming to Nintendo Switch Online. If you only watched the Direct, things seem to be looking up for Nintendo fans. We're finally about to be eating good. However, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. If you check Twitter, Reddit, or any other platform where gaming discussions take place, you were quick to see a change in attitude. You see, during the Nintendo Direct, the price of the console and the games presented were nowhere to be found. And I believe they did this on purpose, because once the prices were revealed online, a ton, and I mean a ton, of people had some very not nice things to say. The Switch's successor, the Switch 2, will cost $450 for the base console alone, and $500 for the newest Mario Kart game included. I feel like most people predicted a price in the $400 range. I mean, just based on some of the specs, this isn't too far off from expectations. Even though this is the most expensive Nintendo console to date, with its predecessor only costing $300 on release. Even adjusting for inflation, the Switch 2 is still more expensive in general. I've seen people say that the increase in price is due to tariffs, but I don't think that's quite the full reason why it's so expensive. Yes, Trump decided to put tariffs on imports from certain countries, and this is impacting consumers in the US. But I've also seen people in other countries, such as Canada, crying over how expensive the Switch 2 is for them as well. So at this point, I just think this is the price that Nintendo wants to sell it at. I mean, if you're finally catching up with your competition in terms of specs, wouldn't you try to sell it for more too? The only country I've seen lower prices for is Japan, and that console is possibly region locked and only in Japanese. So that's not viable for non-Japanese speaking people outside the country. Future Andy here. As of today, Nintendo put out a statement that they will not be doing pre-sales for the Switch 2 because they are uncertain of the tariffs in the US. So that pretty much confirmed the prices we saw were before tariff. I can't even imagine what the prices will be like after. This pretty much confirms that everything is going up in general, and unless you live in Japan, you're just going to have to deal with the increase in prices. Especially if you're an American. But I guess this is what people wanted, so back to the video. However, what really made people crash out online was the price of the individual games. Yes, the new Mario Kart World, on its own costs $80 for a digital copy and $90 for a physical copy. Yes, you heard that correctly. No idea what the Nintendo execs were smoking when they decided on those prices, but I want some of what they're having. Now, to be fair, based on the screenshots, those prices were in euros, and there's no indication they're doing this type of pricing in other regions, but at the end of the day, $80 or more for a game is insane. These prices for one single game is absolutely unheard of. I truly feel bad for all the kids, as their parents will probably be less likely to buy more than one game at a time. Or they might just hit them with the classic, "We have Mario Kart at home" line. This pricing fiasco alone sent the internet into an uproar, and the prices of other Switch games have been called into question. In recent history, Nintendo games usually go for around $60, physical copy or not. This is a 33% increase in price that begs the question, what makes this new game so special? I mean, is Mario Kart really worth $80? And will all future Switch 2 games follow this new pricing model? The answer to that is unclear, as the new Donkey Kong game seems to be retailing at around $70 upon release. Still, $10 more than a normal Switch game. This uncertain pricing does not seem to fare well for Nintendo, as many people claim they don't feel comfortable buying a new console, knowing that there will be a rise in the cost of games as well. Are Nintendo games really worth more money? Heck, I feel like some of the games I've played even at the $60 price point wasn't worth the money. I'm so sorry, Princess Peach Showtime, you were the first game to come to mind. It's still a super cute game, But yeah, it probably should have been 45 max. But also, it's not unheard of for a game to be above 60 as well. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom was $70, you can decide for yourself whether it was worth it, but it was riding on the coattails of one of Nintendo's most popular and best-selling games, so I can kind of see the vision. I also feel like some of the outrage for the Switch 2 game prices is because Nintendo never drops their prices. Like, ever. It'll be a cold day in hell before you ever see Breath of the Wild, one of Nintendo's best-selling games, drop below $60. Hell, I wouldn't even be surprised if they raise the prices in the future. If a game costs $60, then it will stay that way for its entire life. And even when there are sales, it's not really a sale. Usually the games most people really want are never on sale, but if you happen to get lucky, maybe it will cost, maybe $5 or $10 less? And even that's being generous. Along with some higher pricing, we also have some things that should not be priced at all. For example, the Switch 2 Welcome Tour. Yes, Nintendo expects you to buy the guide to figure out how the Switch 2 works. I mean, this is just pure greed. I don't know what else to call it. Like, I'm sure it's unnecessary, but this is absolutely ridiculous. I never thought Nintendo would stoop so low to make people buy a tutorial for their system. Looking back, can you believe the Wii came out with the Wii Sports for free? It almost sounds insane in this current day and age. Nothing is free anymore, not even the system's manual. There's also some controversy around game keycards, which, get a load of this. Certain games will have something called a keycard, where you can insert the card into your Switch and download the game from the internet, which kind of makes no sense, because what's the point of buying the physical game if you're just going to download it from the internet? If you buy a physical copy, you should be able to play the game from the jump. No internet needed. I truly think this is a very slippery slope for Nintendo to go down, and I say this as someone who almost exclusively buys Switch games digitally. Physical copies of games need to exist. It's a no-brainer. Also, these physical keycards better cost the same as their digital counterparts. There's no way they would charge an extra $10 for that. Right? Right? The recent surge in the price for the console and its games has called into question Nintendo's greed yet again. I feel like it's fairly obvious that most major companies have extreme greed. I feel like that's just a given nowadays. But Nintendo has always been an interesting case. Nintendo is truly pushing the envelope in all the wrong ways. It's like they know people will pay for anything they put out, and a decent chunk of Nintendo fans will defend it. I personally noticed this firsthand during the lead up to Tears of the Kingdom. Nintendo fans told me I should never doubt or question Nintendo, and that they would trust Nintendo with their life. I'm not even joking on that last one. The people that defend these companies are the reasons why they feel like they can get away with hiking up the prices or slowly doing away with physical copies of games. Because at the end of the day, someone will always buy it. And listen, I'm not just saying all this because I'm a broke boy. Like, no. I can afford the Switch 2, well, pre-tariff. But I feel like by buying the Switch 2 and its games at these exorbitant prices sends a message to Nintendo and other gaming companies that they can get away with steadily raising the prices for any and everything. I'm honestly not even concerned about the price of the console itself. Again, pre-tariff. Like I said, Nintendo is finally catching up with its competition. The Switch was absolute trash in terms of power. There's no reason my PS4 runs better than a console that came out in 2017, 4 years after it. But the rise in gaming prices for the same quality of games absolutely should not be defended or encouraged. I actually felt kind of bad for Nintendo's publicist or social media team because I know they got whiplash within the first 20 minutes of the Nintendo Direct ending. Nintendo almost had it. If they had just priced things reasonably, gave people a free guide for the system, and left physical copies alone, across the board, they would be winning. But sadly, that is not the case, and I'm not surprised. I've seen people say this is the Wii U situation all over again, and I'm not sure this is quite the same. The Wii U struggled to stand out from the Wii, and there was some confusion about what the difference is. Meanwhile, the Switch 2 is clearly an upgraded Switch with more power. However, I definitely don't foresee the Switch 2 outperforming the Switch in terms of sales, especially after the price reveal. I look forward to hearing reviews from people who buy the console, and I'm honestly super interested to see how the new Joy-Cons perform. I know they have some new functionality, but hopefully they won't have the same drifting problem as its predecessor. Might have to wait a couple months to a year to really hear back about that one though. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure everything in this video is factual, especially at the time of recording. I'm recording this the Friday after the Nintendo Direct, but who knows when you'll see this. I think if the info in this video is incorrect, then Nintendo definitely could have done a better job at keeping people informed, especially when it comes to prices. Anyway, let me know how you feel about the Nintendo Direct and the route Nintendo is taking in terms of the new Nintendo Switch 2. Will you be getting one on release day? Why or why not? Personally, I don't think I'm in a rush for a new Switch. I never really intended on buying one this year, and after hearing those prices pre-tariff, yeah, I'm not sure I will. Anyway, I have a couple Zelda videos cooking right now, so stay tuned for that. But as always, my name is Andy and I hope to see you in the next video.